Welcome back to LIVENODING. In this episode, I want to show you how to create this type of mechanical worms. I call it like the Blenderian worms. It's pretty simple. I've explained this in the past. It's basically like a noise driving a curve, and then you just resample the curve and then turn it into this type of worm. It's looking a little bit like a plastic cups. So it's pretty interesting and simple. So let's take a look what's going on. If I break this down, I started with just a simple mesh line, and I can control the length of the mesh. Okay, so the length is important. The count, maybe the count is not that important, so I can just break this like that. Okay, so that's the length. The counts kind of matter, but the second one actually control the count. Okay, the second geometry nodes is actually take the polygon edge, turn it into a curve, and then resample it, and then set the position of the curve. And as for the position, I'm using noise texture that has been offset using scene time. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on, but it's still pretty simple. So the noise is controlling the curve. Okay, so it's just replacing the position of each curve, and then yeah, it's just worked like a snake. The third one is actually turning it into the worms, and we have like the idea is just splitting the polygon edge and turn each one of them into a curve, and then randomize the curve radius, and then simply loft it. Okay, so we end up with this snake. There's another setup that's actually slightly more complicated. It's involving skin modifier. Actually, no, it's involving armature bones that's driving the snake. Okay, so file open. So the second versions, we have this ball. Okay, so we can control the ball, but we also create bones that's controlling this guy, but the bones itself needs to be driven by something, and the bones can be driven by curve or spline. So the second example is actually like this. So the snake itself is already kind of baked. It's a baked mesh from geometry nodes, because you cannot just skin a geometry nodes mesh. You need to bake it first. So we get the worms already baked, and then it's skinned into the bones, while the bones itself is being driven by the spline. Okay, the spline itself is actually a geometry nodes that we created earlier. So geometry nodes where we drive the spline using noise. Okay, the noise can be anything. We only have a simple noise here. With Sphere we have actually all kind of different noise. Maybe we can also use the 4D one. With the 4D one, we can randomize the W. It's kind of like adding flow, turbulence. We can distort the noise a little bit. This one is controlling the speed of the motion, because it's simply offsetting the position of original curve mesh. And so the output of this geometry nodes becoming a curve, that's because of sphere choke. So there's a lot of things going on. So sphere choke is driving, it's kind of converting the mesh curve into a curve, so we can use it as a spline IK. It's a lot of interesting trick, right? So sometimes it's not so obvious. Like this, for example. I'm generating random number to control the radius, of which the radius of this will further control the thickness of the snake along the spline IK. It's pretty unusual setup, but it's possible. So in the future, maybe all of these involving bones and IK, spline, everything needs to happen inside geometry nodes. So I'm really excited if we are able to do that inside just geometry nodes, controlling the bones and stuff. Currently it's slightly complicated, but really one thing that made me realize this is possible is this skin modifier. With skin modifier, okay, we start with the default cube and we go to edit mode, merge vertices at center. We can just extrude this guy because it's just like a simple mesh. This is just polygon edge, right? We don't have any procedural control. It's manually generated. If you do the skin modifier, this is like geometry nodes. Create armature, we have armature controlling the skin. So this is the thing that kind of unlock the possibilities. This needs to happen inside geometry nodes. However, currently geometry nodes is juggling between, am I like a curve, or am I like a mesh, or am I a bones? Geometry nodes doesn't handle bones at the moment. So this skin and armature needs to happen inside geometry nodes, so we can have this kind of snake animations, and we can create something like this more easily, and then able to bake it out for something like AR or game engine. But yeah, so that's basically in the nutshell. A lot of things going on, but hopefully you'll find this useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.